Adams. Katira ko ngende mu kamera mu. Oyagala nkwatiridde? Nsoma kyenjogera. Yes, mulabi wakikivyo mulungi yakasolomusabuka okumaliriza olunaku lwaleero gye baliko byonna gyotuusaako engalo muganda wange yonna gyoli gye baliko byonna gyokola ali mu ggwanga Uganda n'oyo ali bweggwanga amanya ze Buganda lona obugenyi ozikumanakerekero malasiya mamba naye nga amazi olunaku lwaleero muganda wange tuli wano mu Jinja olusirika omuzungu kyayita retreat naye nga tuli mu lusirika olw'ekibiina ekya National Unity Platform kye bagenda okubanga ate bagendamu olunaku lwaleero nga wolengera mu ndawo gyengenda okutwala okulaba nga bateesa ku nsonga ez'enjawulo ez'ekibiina saako n'ez'eggwanga Uganda. Obudde bwonna omukulembeze w'eggwanga ow'ekumi Robert Kyagulanyi Ssentamu ajja kuba atuuka mu kifo kino nateera okulaba nga yeegatta ku kibinja kino omuli ababaka ba palamenti abalonde omuli ba chairman LC5 bonna batuuse wano eno n'abakiise aba National Unity Platform abamitendera egy'enjawulo. N'olw'ensonga eyo muganda wange njagala okukwaniriza nateera essaawa zino neegatteko ate tugende mundaawo ng'essaawa yonna bagenda kuba batandika bulungi. Omulabi wa Ghetto TV muganda wange nkwaniriza tubeere ffenna mu lutabalo luno lwe tugenda otutambula olunaku olwaleero nateera okutuusaako buli kimu ekigenda mu maaso. Ekinaaba kyetaagisa tujja kuba tukikutuusaako ate era ekyo ekinaaba tekiteetaagisa nga kyakyama ng'ekibiina ekyo kyo tujja kuba tuvaawo. Ababaka abasinga okuva mu bitundu eby'eggwanga eby'enjawulo baatuuse dda era baatudde mundaawo okulaba nga ate enteeseganya zino zigenda mu maaso. N'olw'ensonga eyo muzikirize baganda bange mbatwale munda wano okulaba biki ebiriyo n'abo abaliyo. Mwebale nnyo mwebale ddala okwekuumira ku mukutu. Yes, nga bwe nkugambye muganda wange nti abantu bakyagenda maaso okutuuka mu bungi bakyagenda maaso okutuuka mu bungi ejjinja wano ku Nile Hotel okulaba nga ate bagenda maaso n'okwogera ku nsonga ez'enjawulo. Ababaka bonna munnange batuuse dda abaneya b'ebibuga bonna batuuse dda. Nyinza okusiigira ekifaananyi ekiri wano ng'omulabi waffe ali eyo nti buli mubaka ali wano kansala ba chairman LC5 bameya b'ebibuga bonna olutuuse babawadde t-shirt oba abazine t-shirt ezo eziriko abannayuganda abakwatibwa olulimi ennaku zino olukozesebwa political prisoners abakwatibwa munnange ne baggalirwa nateera ne baggalirwa munnange bonna abasinga ze bambadde olunaku olwaleero nga zisaba okuteebwa kwabwe muganda wange. Y'ensonga eri wano naye nga essaawa yonna ngenda kuba nkutwala munda ate era tulabe ekiriyo nti enteeseganya oba olukuŋŋaana lutandise. Olukuŋŋaana luno kyempuliddeko kyesinakakasa bulungi lugenda kubeera lwa nnaku 2 bweddu lugenda kubeera lwa nnaku 2 bweddu nga bateesa ye bali bagenda kyankwanze ate ye aba National Unity Platform muganda wange bali waneeno ejjinja gye bakomye olukuŋŋaana lwabwe ng'olwa kyekansi. Katugende munda amanya Buganda Ronald Mugenyi oli ku Ghetto TV twatuuse dda okuweereza nateera. Yes, kankutwala eri omukulembeze w'eggwanga w'ekkomi Robert Kyagulanyi Ssentamu amaze okutuuka mu kifo kino. President w'ekkomi Robert Kyagulanyi Ssentamu baganda bange amaze okutuuka mu kifo kino okwogerako nate era eri ababaka baneeno. President Sanso kulaba nange bana
Friends, the President is here with us. Have you rise to receive our President in honor? Mr. President, you're welcome. Mr. President, you're welcome. And before you sit, can I invite Honorable Serubula to come and lead a prayer quickly? Meanwhile, the chairman will also come and lead the national anthem. Prayer. The program I have says prayer. God bless the President should have been anthem and all.
Almighty God, we thank you for this opportunity. We believe that you plan this day before us, Almighty God. As we gather here, Almighty God, we are humble before you, Almighty God. May all our intentions and missions, Almighty God, be blessed by your great hand. We believe that as we are here, all our aspirations are blessed by your hand. Almighty God, look at our nation. As we gather here, we want to save our nation from oppression. We want to deliver a peaceful Uganda, Almighty God. But we might be weak, but you are the source of strength, Almighty God. We may not be so wise, but you are the source of wisdom, Almighty God. We pray that you guide us as we are here, even our colleagues who have not yet reached, Almighty God, here. Deliver them here, and as we are here, may all our deliberations be in the interest of serving this nation. We pray for all the oppressed people in prisons, Almighty God, and elsewhere. May you guide this nation because you love. You loved it, and always love it. We pray all this to Jesus Christ.
I would like also to invite the one leading the Busoga anthem to come over. She's coming. Honorable Young. Yeah. So after invoking the spirit from the Holy Father, let us sing the national anthem. Oh, Uganda, may God uphold thee. We lay our future in thy hands. United, faithfully, united together we'll always stand. Busoga kivumba eyatuwa olw'ekirabe ky'ekikolo tweyimbenga Busoga tebenkerenga ensenese abantu mwena mu Busoga mwidde twisanyinga tukulemberweise bantu nga n'omutwe gwaife male tufuna omwoyo mwamufu tugozaganyenga enina ya Uganda tuli bankabino yenga twesiimye nnyo olw'inaifooyo Busoga kibumba eyatuwa olw'ekirabe eky'ekikolo tweyimbenga Busoga tebenkerenga ensenense.
Thank you so much. Honorable Nyeko, we're taking too long, so now just take us through or tally. Should have been quite fast.
People
anthem. Olutalo ngaluwedde tuliyambale ngule, tuliyambale ngule, tuliyambale ngule. Olutalo ngaluwedde tuliyambale ngule, tulivimba mu Uganda empya. Tuliyambala, 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 tuliyambala engule si masa masa. Olutalo ngaluwedde tuliyambala engule, tulivimba mu Uganda empya. When the struggle is over, we shall wear the victor's crown. We shall wear the victor's crown. We shall wear the victor's crown. When the struggle is over, we shall wear the victor's crown in the new Uganda. People power! Our power! People power! NUP! Everywhere!
Thank you so much. I don't know better person to lead that song better than you. Mr. President, you are welcome. And the Deputy President is here with us. Assembled here are national leaders. Allow us, Mr. President, go through the introduction so that you can know who is here with us. I'll begin it from here.
Mulima Mayunichi Eyayalula Kayongo Mukono North constituency.
The rest I said, be brave. I didn't say rush your name. We want to rush the name.
Mulima Mayunichi Eyayalula Kayongo Mukono North constituency.
Kaya Christine Nachimwero, woman MP Chiboga District.
Beth Efandalina, Wakisa District Woman MP.
Florence Mamayanja, Masaka City.
Otayo Gifo Makundo constituency.
Sino Prasto Parinalwa, Kilogazi Municipality, Wipa District.
Paul Suga, Sino constituency, North.
You are welcome. Mukasa Elisa Koyo, Koyo the fourth, Mayor Koyo Mr. Pacho.
Chirumira Hassan Gobalego katika South Conference. Nikasoma shule kasema kwa South.
Katabazi Francis Kapongole Mutanzi, Kalungu East.
Akane Juliet Nakawie, Woman MP Masaka City.
Nyepo, Eric, MP-elect, Makinde East.
Isabelle Mpala Robert, PWP representative.
Mugabe Susan Nakazibo, Woman MP Bugoma District.
Reverend Dr. Peter Bakalubamkasa, Mukono District Chairman, LC5 elect.
Sirs Godfrey, Gomba East, constituency, Gomba District.
Singwa Fred Kagwa, Mwakule Nume, Nakifuma County, Mukono District.
Engineer Semanga Godfrey Kamuzi, Mayor Makinde Sabagamo.
It's a very bit of a chief national municipality.
MP-elect Kamufa, Kasamba South, Kasamba District.
Charles David Kalwanga, sitting MP, Suzuka constituency, as well as MP-elect.
Bagala Joyce Ntwatwa, Ichana District. Arida Namatanzi is my name, Deputy Coordination and Organization. Rashida Nambowa, Chairperson elect Butambala District.
Zamchene Mandiji, NUP.
Joel Senyoni, Nakawa West.
David Lewis, People Power. Secretary General.
Nyanzi Fred Sentamu, National Mobilizer.
Mukasa Aloysius, Titan God, MP elect in Brother South. People Power. Our Power. God Mpaka Peter from Mara City.
Rahma Jomagwa, Deputy Mayor, Central Region. Auntie Brenda, Deputy Secretary, we maintain.
Ranyaga Alex Robbins, Secretary.
People Power, Our Power, Monday Chivakutika, Woman MP, Jinja City. I take this opportunity to welcome you all in Jinja City. I just want to tell you that Jinja will have all the available resources. Spiritual, economical, emotional, you can tap on so long as you don't misuse them. Jinja is a level of far outside here. You don't know what you've done for us by you coming here. Thank you so much for coming. Be blessed.
My name is Odinga. I'm the Secretary for Research, NUP Executive Board.
Patrick Nzamba, Mashale Wasana, no.
My name is William Michael Kusala, State Chairperson near the Mupongo, State.
Charles David, Division Chairperson, Chimanya Kamarela, Masaka City.
Lerazé Zaki Maula, Mayor elect Laga Division.
Third, Maria Ubeka, MP elect Wakanda Constituency. Kayonda Geoffrey Soro, Pokomasi Bisau Constituency. Shia Innocent, Maokotana. Royal Autonomous Kalike, Ukoto East Coast to West Masaka District. Kodamika Charleston Winyanja, the only MP elect in the region. Second Martin, as an elected Big District. Professional exam.
People Power, Our Power, National Woman MP Palagala District of Lunyanja.
Madam Mahanta Sokonya, MP elect in Nakaseke Central, Nakaseke District. People Power, Our Power. Secretary Dennis, Kalamouth Gospel City, Lower District. People Power, Our Power. Nwangachine, Mwayo Kucharo, MP elect in the municipality.
The municipality is the other side. This is Jinja, the other.
Good morning to all of us. Maria Letokos Kanatawi, Deputy Yezui Eastern.
People Power, Our Power. My name is Kasoro Peter, commonly known as Sabio Alton Kasoro, the mayor elected in the city. Welcome to you. People Power, Our Power. General Regular Moses, PPF 001.
Secretary of Mobilization, People power, Salongo, Kakengo, Kayi, Mbakipama, Entele Municipality.
People power, our power, Baba Kande Jr., in charge of mobilization in the region.
People power, our power. I'm called Myon Hussein Banda, commonly known as Swengere, Arts and Entertainment Coordinator of Sogalino, and I'm representing my immediate boss, Mr. Nobiandi.
People power, our power, I'm YAAYE NZE, Eyayalula Museveni.
Mr. President, the manager of today's program is Aisha Kabanda, woman member of Parliament Esilidde, Tambala, Home District, assisted by my colleague, Waita Alex Mufamero, the one in charge of training. We've just gone through introductions. When my young used to say, later. Mr. President, we survived the rough waters that we just went through. At one time, we were worried, we thought we were going to lose you, but because you are God sent, you survived the rough waters, you survived the killers. Well survived, Mr. President. Friends, join me to welcome the President to officiate over the opening ceremony of today's retreat.
People power, our power, NUP, everywhere. Comrades, I salute you. My first request is that you permit me to remove my jacket so I can show off my comrades. When the struggle is over, we shall wear the victor's crown. We shall wear the victor's crown. We shall wear the victor's crown. When the struggle is over, we shall wear the victor's crown in the new Uganda. People power, our power, people power, NUP, everywhere. NUP. Thank you very much. Please feel comfortable. Very good afternoon, colleagues. Yes, it is afternoon already. I want, first and foremost, to welcome all of you. I know it has been challenging, according to some explanations that we got from some of the comrades, but we thank God that we are here. It is no celebration time, but allow me to congratulate all of you for winning the races that you respectively battled. Congratulations. I want to congratulate the nation upon the win that we achieved. It might be mentioned or not mentioned, it might be announced or not announced, but the nation won. At least to a very large extent, the nation won. I want to thank all of you, very importantly, for running that deadly race. I want to welcome you from hell. What you took part in was a war. It was a fight. Can I ask Comrade Waiswa to assist me push this in the
Thank you very much. Excuse me, Madam Programs Director. I wanted to speak to you evenly, so I wanted to be in the middle. Comrades, what we went through was war, and I really take the welcome back from that danger zone. Just this morning, when I was coming here, we branched to this route, and once again, my eyes saw the spot which I was not supposed to survive from. The very first gunshot attempt at us, where the Honorable Zake, myself, and a few others survived death. I thank God. And I was further reminded that we have a mission to accomplish. Friends, we did not survive for nothing. No, God was speaking to us through our survival. We are here for a reason. God kept us alive so that we can at least be able to accomplish something. So it is not a mistake that we are here. It is not fun that we are here. Welcome from hell, all of you comrades. We did it. We only have to accomplish it. Speaking to you, standing before you this afternoon, throws my mind back some 3 years or something ago, when myself and 10 other friends went to a similar 2 days retreat. For some 3 years ago, only about 3 months after the parliamentary election of 2017, where I had become member of parliament, we had a small study group of friends. We still call ourselves the Patriotic Friends, PAT. It was 11 of us. We decided to take a retreat, and for the first time, seriously and frankly, talk about the future of our country. It is 3 years ago. It was 11 of us. Among those 11 people with whom we took that retreat, and the most important thing that came out of that 2 days retreat, 2 days and 2 nights, was the word people power, our power. We didn't know where it would go, but at least it had been invented in that retreat.
Thank you very much.
My children, 1, 2, 1, 2. So, like I was saying in comments, my mind went back. Among those 11 people, only 3 ran for office. 4 and the 4th among those 11 people. And among those 4 that ran, only one won. Okay, I also was not announced. That was some 3 years ago. So coming to this retreat, this Basilica, so much was running in my mind, looking back at the wins and the losses, the ups and downs. My late father used to talk about to have to love a statement by Shakespeare. He would say, let us think, eat and celebrate for ourselves and the general happiness of the company and our friends abroad, but we are here. The friends abroad that Shakespeare meant were those that didn't make it to that particular moment. So once again, I tell you, comrades, that let us celebrate, let us stamp our chests, let us thank God for the few wins and overcomings that we've been able to register for us and our friends that didn't make it, but we are here. So now that we are here, not just 11 people, but many, you, the elected leaders, members of parliament, local government leaders, and leaders in different other levels. And also, knowing that thousands, in fact hundreds of thousands, as a matter of fact millions of Ugandans sharing the same mind, sharing the same thoughts, and walking in the same path have adopted that. That is no mean feat. but we are here. It is my hope and prayer before we start, ladies and gentlemen. It is my hope and prayer that we still have the same mind, that the same thoughts, the same aspirations, and same goals and desires. I want to welcome all of you to this retreat, ladies and gentlemen. It is at this level where we look back and count our wins and our losses. While we are here as the elected leaders, and more particularly those that were announced, as we are here, it is very, very important to know that for us to get here, we've had to go through thick and thin, and many of our friends did not make it to this moment. I want to suggest that we all stand up and observe a moment of silence for our friends that did not make it alive today. May their souls rest in eternal peace. I also want us to remind ourselves of what our eyes see and what our ears hear, not only in this room, but all over the country and beyond. We are dressed like this not because we want. We are dressed like this because many of our friends put themselves in harm's way, took the risk, and indeed are paying the price. Many, like I mentioned, did not make it alive. Many are nursing wounds, both physical and psychological, that were inflicted on them courtesy of this our struggle. And many of them are in prison. But we are here. Thank God that we are here. And again, it's my hope and prayer that we find it in our hearts to constantly see the need to represent those people that took it upon themselves to represent us in hell. They are there because the regime knows that by incarcerating them, maybe they're weakening them, maybe they're breaking their backs, maybe they're weakening us, or maybe they are drawing a wedge between us and those common people that stand for us, because those people that are in prison represent the masses. They represent the common people. They trusted us as their leaders. We are their leaders. They voted for us. And the majority of us, there was no rigging space. That is how we were able to be announced. We salute them. Friends, we are looking at the losses, at the people that died, at those that are in prison. But it's very important, even when you look at the wounds, to look at the wins. I was deliberate on giving you the background for you to know that it had started long before me. But again, that little collection of me and a few friends, less than a dozen, could spark an idea. I always listen to fellow artists. There's a man called Tupac. Tupac Shakur said, I'm not sure that I will change the world, but I can guarantee you that I will spark the brain that will change the world. That is what we must continue saying. It is not about we as individuals, but about what we spark in other people. Maybe the people that inspired me didn't know I would come to these heights. And maybe you might not be aware that the people that you are inspiring are actually going to become great assets to this country. So it is important that we count those blessings, that we celebrate the fact that we are here more than 100 elected MPs, elected mayors, councillors, etc. We should celebrate the fact that we were able to massively awaken a nation, to awaken an entire generation. Just 3 years ago, young people didn't want to know what was going on in politics. Just 3 years ago, a huge amount of Ugandans, especially young people, We are disconnected from how they are governed. They didn't know what happens in parliament. We are not interested. So we must celebrate the fact that we have awakened an entire generation. That we have connected generations, the young and the old. We have connected classes. We have connected genders. We have connected the people of Uganda. Now the people of Uganda are no longer identified, or they no longer look at each other in terms of their tribes or their genders or their regions. They are connected by the pains and the hopes. The pains they're going through and the hopes that they envision for this, our country. And it's both good and bad news that we are the representation of those aspirations. We here, it is good news because it's such an honor. But it's bad news because it puts a big load on our shoulders, ladies and gentlemen. A very big load. While we celebrate for having one, I want you to know, comrades, that they gave us a big responsibility and we ran a big risk. Because to whom so much is given, so much is expected. And those are the expectations that the people of Uganda have in us today. So while we are here, ladies and gentlemen, thinking about those that pass on, thinking about those that are in prison, and of course agitating for more, it is important to identify what drives those our people and drives us. I'll tell you what drives me. What drives me is the fact that the entire nation believes in us. What drives me is the fact that the entire nation is experiencing what we are talking about. You do not have to be told, you do not have to be prepared as a leader to go and communicate. You only have to say what you go through every day or what your people go through every day. I am motivated by the fact that the people of Uganda have largely taken a lead, and we, the leaders, are only connecting with the people who we do not have to convince. I'm aware that so many of you did not have to use so much money as you had prepared your minds. All of us know politics is expensive because Museveni has monetized politics in this our country. But because the idea of people power that we were presenting to the people had already been naturally sold into them. So we largely didn't have to spend. As a matter of fact, the people who were asking votes from largely spent on us. So that gives us a debt. That makes us very accountable to those our people. I'm talking largely on this, ladies and gentlemen, because I want you to think. I want us to know who we are, at least in the face of the people. We are not the traditional politicians. No, they sent us into those offices, or they attempted to send us into those offices because they largely view us as liberators. When the people of Machindi look at the one Nyeko Deri, they are looking at themselves going into parliament. They are looking at their own boy or their own that they sent to parliament. Many of you defeated very, very strong people. You defeated ministers with all the government machinery. You defeated the so-called untouchables. That was the representation of people power. But it did not end on that day that you were announced winner. As a matter of fact, it started on that day. That is the day the people in your constituency took over and then handed that power and responsibility to you. And that is why I say it is a heavy load on you. Luckily, it is a load that you can very, very comfortably carry because your people, according to what I see, are ready to carry that load with you. Especially if you stick by the aspirations, if you stick by what you preached during the campaigns. So, ladies and gentlemen, what drives me is the faith that people are with us, and the faith that you are going to stand by those values. Not because we sit here and your president tells you that stick to those values, but because I know that the people who voted for you are going to hold you accountable. These are already awakened people. I see it tempting us many times to try and fit into the honorable MP stature, in the mayor stature. I can see many of us already fighting to fit in, which is natural and normal, but we are not living in normal times. And our people are not looking for a leader to fit into the image of an MP. No, that's not what they're looking for. So don't feel in such a rush to buy the most expensive car, to buy the best suit, to grow a big stomach. Don't feel in such a rush. It is important that people continue to see you for what they voted for. They might not tell you that. As a matter of fact, they might tell you that when it's already too late, when they are blaming you. And for people like my good friend Simbwa, who already had his weight, you might be in trouble. You know, that was a light moment. Don't take him very seriously. But he has weight and it's questionable for the voters. Now, ladies and gentlemen, we are here to discuss quite a lot. But most importantly, to prepare our minds. One, for what is at stake, for what we are facing and what we are about to face in the coming days. First and foremost, where are we? We are in a country that is led by a brutal dictator who is very smart, who has mastered the art of being a benevolent dictator, who has mastered the art of running I'm looking for a word that explains a dictatorship that puts a semblance of democracy. I know that while we are here in this retreat, we are all expecting a raid from either the police or the military. Even when General Museveni is holding a retreat with these NRM MPs spending taxpayers' money. The people that are on our t-shirts are in prison. Many of them are being held and tortured, accused of wearing military uniforms. But as we speak right now, Museveni's MPs, who are civilians, are putting on full military uniform in his full view. That's where we are. We are in an absolute dictatorship that is going to try as much as possible to sanitize itself, and sadly so, using some of us, because that is an effort they are trying. Where we are today, sitting in a comfortable air-conditioned room, but knowing that the people we represent are going through the worst. What is at stake if we don't win? If we don't win this struggle, it might take the people of Uganda back so many years. If we don't win this struggle, which Museveni is struggling so much to ensure that we fail, it will mean that there will only be trials and no success. If we don't win this struggle, it means constant death of our people. Forget the deaths in hospitals because there are no drugs. Forget the death of women giving birth. Forget the children that die in avoidable situations. I'm talking about the death, the state-sanctioned murders. On a daily, in your constituencies, people are being abducted, picked, tortured, women raped, etc., etc. So we must remind ourselves while we sit here to not be comfortable, to not think that it is, normal, it is formal. We are members of parliament, so we are treated as such. No, we are not being treated as such. And as a matter of fact, the people that we represent are being hounded, murdered, and that is not going to stop. I want us to have that state of mind. We are in a state of war. We are in a war, only that on our side we choose non-violence. But the regime has its violence in full gear. I want us to be reminded of that. If we have that at the back of our mind and anchor all our thoughts and all our deliberations on that, we will be connected to our people. But if we think that now we are members of parliament that are only concerned with the legislation which is largely predetermined by Museveni and then sends his MPs to just rubber stamp it, we will be wrong. It is important that we are constantly reminded of the real facts that are ongoing. Some of us that read the Bible, there's this story of the children of Israel when they were coming from captivity. They were heading to Canaan, but there's a place that they reached before, and many of them relaxed. And yet Canaan was still ahead. Some of them actually died there. So please don't die along the way. Don't feel like you've arrived. We are not where we are supposed to be. I was speaking to one of the leaders, and he indeed was worried because he said the biggest problem to the struggle are those politicians that win positions. We have a duty to debunk that. We have a duty to be seen that indeed people entrusted us and we are pushing their struggle ahead. We must not relax. I will also remind you of some of the things that many people don't want to talk about, that there's an attack on everything and everyone, on every institution. Some of our Muslim friends were just mourning the death of their sheikhs, and we all know that their deaths are questionable. And then we, the Catholics, are also mourning deaths of our eminent religious leaders, and it's clear that their deaths are questionable. In the recent past, you've all been on social media, and you've seen what is ongoing. What you see is real. That is where we are as a country. And it's important for us not to relax because the enemy, the oppressor, has not relaxed. Our people, every now and then, are motivated to know that, okay, now this time we have more members of parliament. Maybe our agitation will be more. Now we have more mayors, we have more leaders. Those comrades are fronts for the fight. They are not eating places. They are not relaxing places. In Uganda, bachita chiwejo ngawo modeta natuka temuwumula mikwano jange. There's no time to rest. And there's going to be every effort, those that are visible and those that are discreet, to ensure that you relax your mind, that you be at peace, that you fit in your new profile as a member of parliament, as a mayor, to be at peace, to start thinking of business, to start marrying a second wife. Do not be taken by that, comrades. That has been the undoing of most of the people that have been struggling against Museveni. There's going to be every effort, of course, to divert us and divide us, most importantly, as the best way to derail us. I want to briefly remind all of you that we started out as a people power movement, which was and is still owned by the people of Uganda, which is the rallying call, because that is what we represent today here. When we came up with the National Unity Platform, that we told our people that it is the political wing of people power. And indeed, the National Unity Platform is serving an idea, which idea is people power. We must ensure that people continue to see us as a representation of people power. To ensure that they don't see us as yet another political party that comes to fit in the political terrain and then proceed. We must constantly be answerable to those our people. We must constantly be a representation of people power. You are people power registered. You are people power elected. And your bosses are still the people of Uganda. It is extremely important to remember that and act that. And before I conclude, comrades, I want you to know that you are the face of that idea. You can make it, you can break it. You can motivate the people of Uganda, you can deflate them completely by what you do and what you don't do. That's the kind of responsibility that you are as members, that you have as members of parliament, that you have as mayors, as councillors, as leaders of this, our party, as leaders of this, our idea. Like I said, we promised to people that we'll be their servants and they will be our bosses. We promised a new Uganda. And even before we arrive there, they must see us working and representing that new Uganda with what we can. We have a certain extent of ability, at least. So people must see that new Uganda. Because as we move, we're moving to becoming government. The struggle is still ongoing, but at least you have a certain front. So what you do on that front is going to reflect so much on what the people do on the ground. Very importantly so. I'll also, comrades, remind all of you as elected leaders to live like those people who elected you. We have a population that is very, very easily detachable to the leader, especially if they see you changing from the person that you were. I'm not a perfect person, but at least I want to try as much as possible to give an example or a sample of an NUP leader, of a people power leader. Our people might be worried that now that you're there, like all politicians, speak very nicely before they are voted into office. And as soon as they are voted into office, so here we are. And that's what I'm telling you, comrades. You are in no rush to buy suits. You are in no rush to buy a new car. I would actually discourage those fancy and expensive cars. They don't only detach you from the struggles, the daily struggles of the people, but it even saves your money. You are in no rush to fit in. That is not what we represent. All of us were, bigging up President Magufuli when he discouraged luxurious. Not that you shouldn't live nice, but be a representation of what we would be if we were in office. What are we representing? Because what you do is what the people will see. You would have done if you were a minister or if you are in government. It has to start with you, the individual. Then from you, the individual, it goes to us as a team. And from us as a team, it will trickle down to the nation. It's very important that we communicate that we continue to be the reflection of those our people. Don't fall in love with money. Don't, set your bar high. You would eat and get satisfied in your restaurant. But when you go to that kafunda, it is not just the eating. You might not know, but that's where you get most of your communication. That's where you connect with the people. That must not be lost. Of course, there's so much more that we'll discuss when the media is out of here. But it was important to let you know, comrades, that we must keep the hope alive. And that hope is represented by you, ladies and gentlemen. Let's keep the hope alive. The world is looking at us. People are watching us. They're looking at what we do and what we fail to do. And lastly, I will tell you that Museveni is targeting you. The reason why we took quite a while to metamorphosize into a political party is because Museveni has mastered the art of dealing with the political parties. They look out for the leader, they look out for somebody that holds office, or they look out for the most outspoken and compromise them. Of course, targeting either their greed or their fear. So be aware that you're being targeted. You're being followed by the dictators' compromising efforts, and you're being followed by the eyes of the people whose hopes are entirely on you. I am confident that you can overcome that. I am confident that we'll be back in yet another retreat where none of us has veered off. But again, I want to inform you of this so that you know. And as we communicate, I'm sure some of the more experienced comrades will update us on how General Museveni has been operating for the last 35 years. But all those challenges, comrades, are surmountable. We are here with the people that have overcome those challenges and temptations. And yes, we know people that have failed to overcome those challenges and temptations, and we know how they ended up. Because at the end of the day, nobody can ever win the people. Nobody. Now, very finally, I want you to know that what we are up to is moral. We are not wrong to be into this. We've been able to overcome all challenges, not because of our power, not because we're too intelligent, but because even God is on the side of those that are suffering. So if we go against the values that got us elected, the values that got us protected by God, we will not only be betraying the people of Uganda, but we will be betraying God. But if we stick and hang in there, if we persevere, which I'm confident we will, friends, I can guarantee you that you will find many more people joining us and leaving the dictator, because he has nothing more to promise them other than intimidate them. I was watching General Museveni telling members of parliament that he doesn't like how they deliberate. He doesn't want members of parliament standing up and raising points of order and points of information, because he's used to ordering them. And that's why he dresses them in military uniform, as if they are going there to serve the military. We were deliberate to dress like this, to remind ourselves that these are the representation of suffering Ugandans who did not go in the comfortable workplaces that we've been elected to, but these are the people we are accountable to. These are the people to whom we owe our offices. These are the representations of the millions and millions of the people of Uganda, who, if we continue representing, we shall really be the people power that we say we are. So with those few remarks, comrades, I welcome you, and I want to wish you fruitful deliberations for God and my country.
Mr. President, thank you so much. for reminding us that we're not living normal times. And therefore, we should not go into comfort zones. We must live and lead aspirations of our people who elected us. Thank you, Mr. President. We may applaud him once again. Pardon me, Mr. President, I forgot to introduce your seniors, your colleagues, the Deputy Presidents. Allow me to introduce the Deputy President, Honorable Nambeshe John Baptist, MP Manjia.
People power, our power, our power, people power.
Deputy President from Eastern Region. Also allow me to introduce Dr. Jole Kemugisha, the Deputy President, Western Region.
Our power.
Our strength is that soft voice. She really fought a good war during campaigns. Thank you, Mama. You played a very good part for us, especially the Western region. Allow me also to introduce Honorable Masias Mpuga, who is our Deputy President of Uganda, but also Member of Parliament, Masaka Municipality, and Member of Parliament elect for Nyendo Mukongwe.
People power. Our power. Our power. People power.
Mr. President, these would have missed introductions if I had not skipped introducing the seniors. But let me quickly mention that the Member of Parliament elect for PG is here, PG District. Stand up for recognition quickly. Yes. Member of Parliament. I'm not going to mention the names because we're late. Member of Parliament, Mokono District, elect is here. Member of Parliament elect Royal District is here. Member of Parliament elect for Nakawa East is here.
People power.
Member of Parliament for Komansidi North is here. And also Member of Parliament of Machide South is here.
People power.
Yes, the rest if I didn't see you, please come again. I'm extremely sorry. We are resting against time. The President has so much reminded us to stand by the aspirations of the people and the words that we told our people. Then that means at this time, we must invite people who will remind us of who we are and what we stand for. And nobody else is best suited to speak about that other than my Secretary General, who will handle together with our spokesperson, the Member of Parliament, elect Nakawa West. Secretary General, you're welcome to talk about the party ideology, values, and the rest that you will see if you to talk about. Welcome, my Secretary General.
Thank you very much.
People power.
Our power.
Our power.
People power.
NUP.
Everywhere.
Everywhere.
NUP.
Mr. President, Deputy Presidents, Deputy Secretary General, members of the National Executive Committee, members of the Parliamentary Caucus, members of the Local Government Caucus, comrades in the struggle for freedom and democracy, ladies and gentlemen. We're very delighted to have you here today in our retreat. And I'm glad that all of us are putting on the way we are putting on to make sure that we keep reminding ourselves, even when we're here, that many people have paid incredible sacrifices for us to stand here today and be able to advance this cause. Madam Deputy Secretary, you did not introduce or talk about our Deputy President from Northern Region. She will be saying hello to us anytime now, but she's been out of the country. But she will be speaking to us via Zoom at an opportune time. Now, my duty is really to speak about NUP and what we stand for. But I will take a very short time because we started very late and we have very many programs to deal with today and tomorrow. The first thing I'll talk about is what is our vision. When we went into this election, we had a very big debate, and I remember the Honorable Member of Parliament from Itiana, woman Member of Parliament, was there in that meeting. And when we were trying to come up with the slogan for our campaign, and after debating many of them, we came up with this whole idea of a new Uganda. And we said that we are promising Ugandans a new Uganda, Comrade Joel, I think your slogan was a breath of fresh air. And that's what we are looking at. In Uganda, a breath of fresh air in the politics of our country, the governance of our country, etc. So what is our vision as NUP? Our vision is a free, united, prosperous, and democratic Uganda which empowers citizens, adheres to the rule of law, ensures dignity, and provides equal opportunities for all. That is the new Uganda we were promising the citizens in the election, but that is the new Uganda which we are promising even today. A free, united, prosperous, and democratic country which empowers the citizens of this country, adheres to the rule of law, ensures dignity, and provides equal opportunities for all. I think each of these things I can speak about them for a full day, but because of time I'll not go into them. But maybe to just talk about a free country. We want to live in a free country. We want to live in a united country. The current regime has tried so much to divide this country, and we want to live in a united Uganda. A Uganda where people do not refuse to give you a job simply because of your first name or your last name. A Uganda where you are not treated as a second-class citizen simply because of where you come from or because of your religion, etc., etc. We want to have a prosperous country. The regime here has been promising prosperity for all, but in fact what it has been creating is poverty for all, for many, and prosperity for just a few people. We're saying there should be prosperity for the citizens of this country. We're looking at a democratic Uganda, but above all we're looking at an empowered citizenry. And I think that's what the president has been talking about, where our people become the bosses. And we implore you, our leaders, to make sure that the people who elected you will become true bosses and you will be their servant. We want a country which ensures dignity. One time I went with our president and the big comrade and other leaders to Mulago, where citizens go when they get accidents and all that, the casualty one. You see the indignity there. You see the kind of problems. People having to sleep on the floor. And that is if they are lucky to find space. Some of them are just outside there. And any citizen can get an accident anytime, and then they take you to a casualty ward. And then you find these people, one put on top of the other, they are all bleeding, brought in these cars, common laws are known as Kabanga. So one to try and have dignity for the citizens of this country and finally equal opportunities. What then is our mission? Our vision I've talked about. Our mission is to rally the people of Uganda to exercise their power and build a free, united, prosperous, and democratic Uganda. Every day as a leader of NUP, ask yourself, what have I done to advance this mission? Because this is our mission. Our vision is not where we want to go, our mission is how we want to go there. Every day we want to rally the people of Uganda to exercise their power. Article 1 of the Constitution of our country says that all power belongs to the people of Uganda. And we are saying that all the people of Uganda must be empowered. Every day must be rallied. We do not believe in doing things for the people, but we believe in helping the people realize their full potential and being able to reach where they want to reach. So we want to rally the people of Uganda to exercise their power and build that country which we all so much desire. I will not talk about the values, Comrade Joe will talk about them, but I want to talk about the core governance issues. What is the character of NUP as a political party? And I'm very glad the President talked about the fact that while we are having a political party, we still have a movement. And the political party, in fact, is under the movement. The movement is people power. This people power idea brings together all Ugandans who feel oppressed, who feel neglected, who feel disempowered, who want to take this country forward. So people power is that whole idea which we stand on. But NUP, as a political party, first of all, it is a social democratic party. The social democratic party, you can later on check and see what that means. But NUP is a social democratic party which is guided by the principles, 7 principles. 1, servant leadership, equality, transparency, accountability, freedom, liberty, and social justice. Okay. I'll just say that NUP is a social democratic party. There are different kinds of parties, and that's why I said if you had enough time we'll go through all those. Maybe we'll have a chance to talk about them. But we're a social democratic party guided by the principles of servant leadership, which I already talked about. Servant leadership. I want to be servant leadership. And maybe at this point I'll tell you, comrades, that for me, what attracted me so much to, many of you know my background, previously NRM, then I come meet this gentleman who was an artist, very famous. I met him in my class. I walked into the class, boom, and I saw him seated there. And I said good evening, and then he was saying good evening, sir. You know, this is a celebrity of, you know, with a very big name and all that. And the next month, I realized that he's a very humble person, but above all, a servant leader. One time, I went with him. He invited me to Sawara. We went to Sawara, and then we went to Sowe. It's an island there where you meet people who we call the wretched of the earth. People who are very, very, I don't know how many of you have been to that island, called Sowe Island. Really, people living in absolute poverty, very, very terrible conditions. And here he was. We went by the boat, and then I could see the connection that he had with these people, and for me, that was enough to tell me that I was in the right place. So can we all be servant leaders? Servant leadership is one of those core principles: equality, transparency, accountability, freedom, liberty, and social justice. Social justice goes with so many things, and today, this afternoon, we're going to have a presentation about the socio-economic problem of Uganda and how it can be resolved. So we are dealing so much in social justice. There's another important point here. I will, maybe for the first time, with your permission, and other comrades, deputy presidents, to say that when we were setting out to have a political party, there were very many political parties which were actually clamoring. So why don't you come and become members of this party and take it forward? But the reason why we selected NUP is simply because we believe firmly in the unity of Uganda as a nation state. And so that's another thing. NUP believes in the unity of Uganda as a nation state and shall oppose any attempts to divide the country along tribal, religious, or regional lines. That's one of our core principles and values. There were other political parties with very beautiful names, and I can still talk about them. But the most important, the reason why we thought NUP was our home is because we believe in national unity. And that is why the regime has been so desperate to portray us as a regional party, as what, and sometimes they've gone as far as saying, you people, the Gongolans of this one and Katana and others, kill our vibe. Those who want to clap those people and say they are of a certain place, then we see some of you there. What are you doing with them? But that is because they know the importance of unity. We believe in the unity of Uganda as a nation state. The other thing is that NUP is a progressive party which shall pursue international cooperation with progressive nations and organizations along economic, social, and political lines. So we believe in progressive ideas and a progressive agenda. Now, what I can summarize as what you would call our manifesto, but I'll just call it. Here we say that the NUP shall seek the mandate of the people of Uganda to govern the country and work for the following core governance issues. Who are in power today? What would we prioritize? The first thing is national unity and reconciliation. Most people are in national unity. Make sure that there is national unity. The second one is sovereignty of the people. We want the people of Uganda to be sovereign, not on paper. In the constitution it says that all power belongs to the people, but you all know that in this country, power does not belong to the people at all. We want to live in a country where people feel powerful, and we've gone, many of you have traveled to some countries where the citizens actually think that they have the power. That the citizens can force a prime minister to resign overnight. That the people can decide what happens. But here in this country, those who rule over us have all the power. And once the guns come out, the citizens are silenced. We want to change that trajectory. The other issue is guarding Uganda's national independence. That is very important. We believe that Uganda got independence, but we are not fully independent. We are saying that one of the core issues is guarding Uganda's national independence. The fourth one is building a dynamic, mixed economy with a strong social conscience. Now, dynamic, mixed economy, you all know what that means. But I would place focus on strong social conscience. That our economy, or the economy that we build, must have a strong social conscience. Not an economy which works for a few against the many, not an economy which looks at the political class as against the citizens, the ordinary citizens, but we must ensure that there is a strong social conscience in our economy. The other issue, of course, is respect for human rights, constitutionalism, and the rule of law. NUP in power would ensure that there is respect for human rights, that there is constitutionalism, and that there is the rule of law. Comrades, there are two. I used to be a constitutional law lecturer. Hopefully I'll go back to that at some point. But there is a difference between a constitution and constitutionalism. And Professor Joe Roka, one of those who don't mean constitutional law, famously said that you can have a constitution without constitutionalism. In Uganda, we have a constitution, but we have no constitutionalism. The constitution is a mere piece of document which is swept away at the whims and wishes of those in power. But what we want is that document as just a mere document that we can breathe life into. And that is what I talk about constitutionalism. That there must be respect, adherence to the rule of law, and adherence to the constitution. That's what builds a nation. To make sure that what is written in that constitution guides us and governs us. Those of us here who are religious, the first book should be that religious book you have, whether the Bible or the Holy Quran. And then the second one should be the constitution of our nation. Make sure that we go by it, we abide by it. And the constitution is not just swept away whenever we think it is inconvenient. And that is what the dictatorship in this country has been doing. That whenever the constitution becomes an impediment to them, they just sweep it away. If you look at that constitution about the role of the military, about the role of the police, and how they should be behaving, we have chapter 4 of the constitution. I hope all members of parliament have gotten copies of the constitution. I would encourage all of you to read that constitution, even other leaders, local government leaders. Please get the constitution and read it, because it gives you, it offers you a healing point. But we have a whole chapter about human rights and civil liberties. For example, in this country, none of us here can organize a peaceful demonstration. Even when Article 29 of our Constitution clearly says that there shall be a right to peacefully demonstrate and protest peacefully and unarmed. But that has been reduced to nothing. So we want to make sure that there is respect for human rights, constitutionalism, and the rule of law. Those of you who have studied some bit of human rights studies know that there is civil and political rights and social and economic rights. And we are committed to both. The other issue that we are committed to is gender equality. Gender equality is extremely important, and I want to really, at this point, appreciate the women in the House and thank them for doing incredible things. Unfortunately, the leader of women in the wing is not here, Honorable Flavia Karune. She's been not feeling very well, but she's with us in spirit. And but I thank the women who have continued to light the fire. Yesterday, the women who went out there and protested amid this very difficult situation. Thank you very, 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 very much. The other issue is zero tolerance for corrupt practices. Zero tolerance. Museveni and his regime have been talking about zero tolerance for corruption, but every time they talk about it, they only do it even more. I even wonder how they sleep at night, because they talk about water and drink wine or vice versa. But we want to try and be committed to zero tolerance for corrupt practices. And how I wish that NUP leaders will not be found involved in those kinds of practices. because we want to bring about a new chapter for our country, fighting corruption and making sure that really, not just in word, but in practice. The other issue, as I'm about to conclude, make sure that we have set up for Juma prayers, the Muslims can pass behind. Thank you. The other issue is lean and efficient public administration. Lean and efficient public administration. We want to make sure that we have a lean but efficient public administration. The government that we have currently is the exact opposite of this. It is not lean, it's too huge, and it is inefficient. You have RDCs, you have different organizations, different organs of state, and there is a duplication of roles. For example, if someone has violated my rights today, I can go to the Equal Opportunities Commission, I can go to the Human Rights Commission, I can go to the courts of law, I can go to, if it's rights related to labor, I can go to the labor court, the industrial court, I can go to, there are so many institutions, but they are not efficient. So, if a citizen of Uganda today, your rights are violated, go to the Human Rights Commission. We went there one time after Arua, and the chairman, may so rest in peace, really took us through the trouble he has, or the trouble he had, and his inability, the inability of the Human Rights Commission to its function, because it is very controlled by those with guns. But in any country, the Uganda Human Rights Commission should be a the Human Rights Commission of any country should be an extremely important institution. So we are saying that we should have a lean but efficient public administration. You go into a district and you find there's an RBC, charge of security, there's a DISO, then there's I don't know, all sorts of other layers. You have the chairperson notified, you have then the cow, you have the cow, then you have the DPC. You know? Then you go down, then you find that you have a RISO, then a DISO, all those kinds of things. And then when it comes to election, then they say, no, these are not enough. They bring LBUs, then they bring crime preventers, they bring trouble squad, and all of these are feeding off the public purse. So we are saying there should be lean but efficient public administration. The other issue is strengthening of state institutions. I think this goes without saying that in Uganda, our institutions are not strengthened, they are not independent. Many of them want to wait to hear what has come from state house before they take decisions, but institutions must be strengthened and able to do their work. The other one is respect for cultural diversity, that we must respect our culture, but we make sure that we are united in our diversity. Equal access to quality public services, especially healthcare and education, that goes without saying. We must have equal access to quality. They are very important issues. One is equal access, the other one is quality services, especially healthcare and education. We believe as NUP that if you have a healthy population, you have a productive population. If you have an educated population, you have a productive population. What kind of education do we get in our schools? What kind of education do the students get at university or even in other institutions? And I think it is deliberate. I always tell people when I was in senior year, and many of us here, I'm sure many of you did political education at some point. Or civic education even in primary school until it was abolished, because we are able to make our young people start thinking and questioning and able to understand the history of their country and where it should go. So that is the problem. Of course, the other one is the eradication of poverty. The other one is economic, political, and social cooperation with other nations and organizations. That's international relations, security for all persons and their property. And finally, equitable distribution of national resources, which I believe the presentation later on will talk about. The party will endeavor, this is very important, to instill in its members a strong sense of patriotism as a foundation for achieving the above core governance issues. Comrades, NRM of course has been singing about patriotism, but it's only in word, not in action. Suddenly they don't love their country. Here we are, where the faces of our comrades are in prison for no reason whatsoever, for no crime whatsoever. And these people have the guts, the audacity to talk about patriotism. Of course, as time permits, later on we'll discuss other issues. Some of these issues are captured in our party constitution, others are captured in our other documents. As you know, this constitution is under review, and we later on will be asking your thoughts and other things like those. I thank you so much, moderator, and now invite Comrade Joel to speak to us about the values. People power, our power, people power.
Thank you, Comrade Lewis. We're going to take a break in 10 minutes, I believe. But let's stand and sing a song. I saw something for meditation. This is the time, the time, the time. This is the time to say goodbye. This is the time, the time, the time. This is the time to say goodbye. People power, our power, our power. People power. Please take your seats. Don't take them away. I think just for private. It's good to see all of us here. You know, we've been having meetings. We meet as leaders and discuss in a hurry. 1 hour, then everybody's off to something. And so it was important that we retreat, take off flag, far away from town, because if we had met somewhere near town, many of you would be dashing in and out, running for programs and so on. So we say, let us take you out of Kampala, so that we can be here and concentrate. And that's why we had wanted to all come in the same mode of transport. Many of you have come with your car, so it becomes easy to run away. But we believe that we are here to be able to connect. I'm going to very briefly, in about 7 minutes at the most, take us through our core values. When we sought to set out, we believed that certain things were important for us at the beginning and as we keep going along the way. And so core values are important for any organization, any entity, even for us as individuals. I'm sure each of you, there is core values that you hold dear to your life. You might not have written them down and put them in your house. Some of you have, some of you haven't. But for each of you, there's things that are important. That for me, I cannot do this, or I must be able to do this kind of thing. And so as NUP, there are values that are very important for us. And they must begin with us, the leaders. And then there will be a trickle-down effect to the people that we lead. Because if we don't espouse these core values, it's going to be difficult for you to tell Kabaya, for you to tell Kidawits. These sound like botanical names. These are our people. That's NUP for you. It's going to be difficult for the quote-unquote ordinary person to pick up on these values. And so we summarized our core values in something we call DRIFs. D-R-I-I-F-S. D-R-I-I-F-S. Now each of those letters stands for something. D stands for discipline, R, reliability, the first I, inclusiveness, the second I, integrity, F, fidelity, S, service. I'm going to run through them from our perspective, but you can broaden it. You're all leaders, you're all competent in many respects, you're all wise. Many of you are older than some of us, but no worries. So, discipline. Something that I've learned over the years is that as a leader, you cannot give what you don't have. That's a fact. So, as leaders, we expect people to be disciplined. And that's important. But you see, we cannot expect people to be disciplined if we are not disciplined. The kind of discipline we are talking about is both public discipline and private discipline. Some of us are good at public discipline. Those have been telling you about Museveni. You go there, grandiose, talk about corruption and so on, and behind the scenes, him and his people are speculating videos and taxpayers' money. So the discipline we're talking about is both public and private. And some of it will embody, seemingly little things, but which are very important. I have been in the media for 14 years. And many times, we could see the discipline of leaders. Sometimes it's seen in small things, but which eventually bring down a leader. You find a leader in a drunken stupor. There's an MP who was lost. We got in those circumstances, and he tried to cover up the story, but it was difficult. We said, even us as the media, what good leaders? We are not going to cover up this one. Because the fellow got drunk, was always being picked up in bars. At one point, he urinated at an officer. Discipline. Now, I know, yes, at a retreat like this, you would expect that I should be discussing strategies and all these different things. But see, if tomorrow one of the chaplains is writing about you and somebody who's picked up in bars, it doesn't matter how much English you speak, it doesn't matter whether you say Museveni again, the people are thinking, you cannot be our leader. And so we think this is important. Both public discipline for us as leaders and private. Now, me, I'm a young man. Many of you are even fit to be my fathers. I'm seeing some of you. And so maybe should be you telling me some of these things. But it is okay, my small capacity, maybe I'm able. You see, private leadership for a leader is what, in my view, eventually results into what we see publicly. Because there are things that you cannot hide. As an individual and as a leader. So if there are some good habits that, and we all have our habits, but not going to become a leader, then habits must die. Because they are going to blow up at some point. That's for sure, whether you like it or not. Because you see, many of us have been behind the scenes. Well, for me, as a TV, so maybe some of you will be before here. And so some of you have come in the limelight because you're a leader. And so the small little things are going to come out. Because now you're in the limelight. And then you're not going to shame only yourself, but all of us. Because now I'll be getting phone calls from these media people. Now essentially, so there is this MP of yours that we both doing ABCD. What is your comment? These media people can be annoying. I know because I was like them. And so you engulf all of us. And so it's important that we have discipline, both publicly and privately. Look, we're not saying we are going to become angels. No. But interestingly, people have a certain expectation of us. And the sad reality, those people, the ordinary people, the people that we represent, they will do some of those silly things. And they don't expect you, their leader, to do them. That's a sad reality about leadership. They will steal, they will be all over the place, get drunk and so on. But if the drunk and tomorrow here, their MP was found drunk on the road, be like, yeah, what about that? This is the drunk saying that. And that's the sad reality, because we have chosen to become leaders. So people have certain expectations of us. We must not let them down. Reliability. One of the things that bothers me about Mr. Museveni and his leadership is that we cannot rely on them as leaders. We cannot bank on them. Today they will say A, and tomorrow say B, and so on and so forth. We must be reliable. That image must come out through us, the leaders. And then they will say, hey, these NUP people. We can rely on them. We can bank on them. People are saying they can rely on you. That's why they voted for you. We cannot let them down. That's very important. People have been let down by leaders time and again. And so for us, we are saying we must be different. As one of our core values, we must be reliable. People must be able to say, "Ah, Baka wa fair, Ajachukwa Sakanya, Mayor wa fair, Chairperson wa fair," whatever the case might be. They must see that. So that's our second core value, reliability. The third core value, inclusiveness. I know, and we have talked about these things. The state will try and drive a certain narrative. That NUP thing is only for a particular group of people who are from a particular region in the country. It is our duty to debunk that as leaders. Deliberately, we must be deliberate about that, you know. So everybody must feel welcome. As long as they're saying, I want change, I want to espouse what you espouse, let's bring them forward, regardless of their tribe. That's something the state is trying to use it with. And so we must be able to cover that.
I'm wearing a t-shirt of a gentleman whom many of you know as Bobi. You might think Bobi is a guy who was born, bred, and battered in the camp of Chapaya, Uganda. Bobi is actually a Nyanko. Come with me. Now, from Kanu. So there are people who say Kamwenge, there are who say Kamwenge. But there you are. Bobi is actually from Kamwenge. What's his real name? Is it Akaba? Akaba Andrew. And when you see him there, you would not imagine maybe he is. But he is, and you can say that for several other people. And so we must, very consciously, by the way, as leaders, realize that we should bring everybody on board. I don't know what is being distributed. My name is what? So it's good. Oh, that's also very important. We want to, by the way, appreciate our brothers and sisters in the Muslim community that in Swahili. I'm hoping this is not inconvenience. I don't even know why you're giving this thing out now, because some of us are in Swahili, we are disorganized in house. So anyway, inclusiveness. We must be able to bring everybody on board. Yeah? Regardless of tribes, regardless of religion. I'm glad there's Muslims here, there's Maroccan like me, there's Catholics, there's Protestants. Regardless, we must all feel that we are part of this thing. The women should never feel like, this thing here is only for the men. That's very important. And women, you should never feel sorry for yourselves. Or try to think, let me wait for some space to be given to me. Take charge. I was so delighted when I saw the women yesterday. Saying, this is amazing. And we must keep going. And so, my fellow men, we must let the women. Because some of us, traditionally, culturally, you saw how your father used to treat your mother. She was always the other side, not talking among the men and so on. Times have changed. I saw on the door of one of my professors when I was finishing my second degree, and it said something very interesting. Humankind is like a two-winged bird. One wing represents the men, one wing, the other wing represents the women. Now, for that bird to fly, both wings must be developed, must be empowered. If only one wing is empowered, that bird cannot fly. That's just the way we are. So as NUP, we must know that if it is only the men that will have the space and the women are kicked out, we're not going to fly, whether we like it or not. Our country actually has majority women, 51%. So inclusiveness, everybody must feel included. Integrity is the other eye. I will not elaborate so much on that. It is as clear as it is. We must be leaders of integrity. We cannot fight Museveni for not having integrity, and then we'll be like him in our small ways. Because it is possible for us to be that you're there, you're heading a district, you have resources that you're supposed to steward over. But you know that you're not stewarding over those resources properly. Or you're a mayor, or whatever the case might be. We just must be leaders with integrity. We are not perfect, but people expect us to do the right thing. The F, which is fidelity. Fidelity is another word for faithfulness. How many married people are in this place? Let's see by show of hands. You might not necessarily be happily married, but you're married. Okay, we have seen the married people. And for those who are not married, inclusiveness, we include you also. So feel at home. By the some of you, what is wrong with your problem? You know, people used to say that I was single for a very long time. And there's a story that I always tell. One of those days we were from, I don't know where, we were from Jaguar. But tear gas, what? And as soon as we were returning home, of course he was going to Makere, and he told me, now you say you. So now we're here, battered, what? Me, I'm going back home to my wife, Bobi. She's going to massage me and take good care of me. So for you, when you go home, those cockroaches of yours. I said, now this man there. But thank God, now I can also talk. So, fidelity, faithfulness. We must be faithful to the people that we are leading. You know, the same way spouses, the husband expects the wife to be faithful and the wife expects the husband to be faithful because there is a covenant. And so we have the covenant with the people who voted for us. Yes, it's a covenant. They voted for us. As NUP, they have entrusted us right from our president because these are the people. These ones, we can count on them. And so, we must not let them down. We must be faithful every step of the way. And the people can tell. You know the same way you can suspect that my spouse, you know, the people can actually tell. You can pretend around, go on talk shows, blast Museveni and so on, but if there are holes somewhere, if there are lacunas somewhere, the people can tell. Because they are the ones that voted for you, you are their leader, you are theirs, and so they know when their person has goofed up, has dropped the ball. We must be faithful to the people. Museveni has been unfaithful to us for 35 years, and that's why we're disgruntled. We are in a very disturbing relationship with this man and this government. By force, he will beat us up, jail us, kill our people, steal our money, together with his lot. And that's why we are saying, no, we want to break away from this relationship. We want to have a new catch. And people are saying our new catch is NUP. And so we must not let the people down. You people, again, we were coming from Gulu when Honorable Chagulanyi had been released. And that time I was actually still at NTV, but operating behind the scenes. So I was there quietly. You are people power thing, then I ran back. And when we got to Rubaga, we had a discussion. I don't know if you remember that discussion. He was, because they had sedated him and so on. I asked him, Honorable, did you see what I saw? He said I was asleep much of the time, but did you see what I saw? I asked him. And he said what? I saw people, I stepped out. People lined up from Gulu to Kampala throughout that entire road. I don't know who was with us in that convoy. We had like 50 cars or something. There were people all through. And they delayed us in Gulu. They wanted us to leave late so that we enter Kampala late. And we entered Kampala at about 10 p.m. People waited. I told this gentleman that, do you see how people love you? If you let down these people, the way they love you, they will hate you times 2. I'm sorry, I'm telling them our personal conversations. But I'm telling you too, because people love you. Some of you, babies being born in your constituencies are being named after you. It is true. Because they love you. They see you as their savior. If you let those people down, they will hate you. They will hate you. You will not be able to eat food anywhere. You will not step at a function. They will loathe you. We should be aware of that. But that can only happen once we are faithful to the people. I mean, once we are faithful to the people, that's when they will hate us. But once we are faithful and remain on Bulamwa, we'll keep connecting with the people. Finally, the question of service. You know, we want Museveni to go. And people are excited. They are voting for us. They have yet to see what we are able to deliver. They expect that we actually deliver. They expect that we get to connect with them and deliver services using the platform that we have. Because it's not enough to say Museveni again. That's important. Step 1. But you see, as an MP, are you actually delivering? As a district chairperson, because you're the president of that district, are you delivering services? Because you see, we must use these positions as platforms for the ultimate change. And we must show people that we have got what it takes to lead you, to lead this country. That we have got what it takes to fix things. How? By using the platforms that we have now. And so it's important that we establish what is the role of an MP if you are an MP. Some of us don't know. I hope we get to learn. If you're a district chairperson, if you're a councillor, with councillors the other day, and many of them actually do not know the responsibilities. And I told them it is okay. But 1 month from today, if you don't know, it is not okay. So go and learn, establish, and deliver services to the people. That's important. Because you see, and you've had some voices say, tulabe kye banaakola kubanga balowooza titugenda kuweereza tuweereze tubaswazi ebyaddala. We should not shame this gentleman because he is banking on us. If we move up, and as we keep, because you see, the struggle continues, yeah? And ultimately, we must see leadership change in this country. It has not happened yet. Now, some people are excited. You have many MPs. You know, there's a time media was with my case. I was saying, now you guys have MPs, you're going to, have the lead of opposition. I don't know these different things. And I said, look, the struggle is certainly not over because we didn't enter this to become the opposition leaders. We didn't enter this to be somewhere there. We entered to take over, and until then, we keep striving for that. And so the positions that we are going to occupy now, we are to use ultimately as a platform for that. That's why people trust us. That's why our leader trusted us. And he will talk more about these things. Anyway, he has told us, and he keeps saying, what it means, let's deliver. Because if we don't deliver, he will not be telling people anything. He told people, man, he even sang a song. Umbrella, what was the song? Umbrella. Just sang a song. Umbrella. And so whenever he went, he said that Kabonero, Mamvuli. And the truth is, and I hate to say this with the media here, but it's okay. The truth is, some of us were probably voted, not because people knew us, people were voting for the umbrella. And for me, that's okay, that's a good thing. People are saying we have hope in the umbrella. Meaning, whoever the umbrella brings, that's the person of substance. You might not be a celebrity, you might not be known, but people are saying whoever is with the symbol, the umbrella, that one is the one with Mulangwa. And so they voted for us because of the umbrella. We should not let down this umbrella. God bless you.
Can we applaud both Joel and Lois? I'm told it's lunchtime. Can I request the President, please allow the Muslims to walk out to go for prayers. We are going to have the Deputy President Northern Radio speak to us, but the permit. Was it on? Okay, now here it's on. Okay. Dr. Zedriga is going to speak to us online, and she's already excited to see me here. But with your permission, the Muslims will walk out because Kutuba standard. Shall I have a prayer for 7 minutes to proceed? Thank you. Please, Vice will come and take over from me.
Well, the Deputy President, Lina, wants to just say hello to you and to greet you, but unfortunately, many of you cannot see her, but she's right now on the call, as you can see, and she's, yeah. Please proceed and say hello to the comrades.
Storming the weather and also
Okay, thank you very much. Congratulations. That was our Deputy President who wanted to say.
Thank you very much, Mr. Secretary General. Comrades in the struggle, we are going for a quick lunch. The lunch will take exactly 1 hour because we are out 30 minutes. It is well organized. We can eat within 30 minutes. As leaders, let us take this as a practice because we want to cover everything that the Secretariat organized today. So we shall go where we had the breakfast from, the break team, but continue to another setup place where we shall have our lunch. We shall be back here at 2 sharp. At exactly 2, please let's be here. Is quite close. So we will allow where we know what is happening. We have the lunch, come back here, and then after the evening session, we shall have.
Yes, omulabi wa Gate Media sawa yakuwummulamu okufuna ku kyapulya naye nga olusirika bwe lugenze ebigambo bingi bye muwulidde okuva eri omukulembeze w'eggwanga Robert Kyagulanyi Ssentamu ow'ekkumi nate era n'okuva eri abagezi ab'enjawulo mubadde David Leus Lubongoya wabadde Joel Ssenyonyi ono nga ye mwogezi w'ekibiina Lubongoya nga ye Lubongoya nga ye
Let's go to the conference. This was an open session for the media. We do not expect to have the media after lunch, but the media were also invited for lunch.
Yes, ababaka bonna kumpi bazze bameya b'ebibuga ab'enjawulo nga bw'oli mu kubalaba bonna bazze we bali olunaku olwaleero. Yes, nga mulabye Dr. Hilda Mani bameya Kayemba manager Kayemba ababaka bonna olunaku olwaleero abasinga obungi baweddeyo Honorable Francis Zaake wali n'ababaka abalala bangi nnyo olunaku olwaleero babadde bazze mu retreat yoye bwe batwe bagiyita naye nga mu Luganda lwe lulimi olusirika lwe bazzeemu olunaku olwaleero okulaba nga ate naye nga babaako bye bateesa eri eggwanga wamu bye bateeseza n'eri ekibiina ekya National Unity Platform. President muwulidde byayogedde olunaku olwaleero abakalaasidde ebintu bingi nnyo omubadde okwekuuma naddala okukola ebyo abatuuze oba bannayuganda bye babalondera okukola. Yabasabye okulekerawo okwegulumiza abasabye okulekerawo okwegulumiza era baleme kwegulumiza kwetwala nti bawaggulu nnyo wabula n'abategeeza nti babeerenga abalonzi ababalonda kye babalagira okukola oba babeerenga bo kye bali baleme kwegulumiza kulowooza nti bakitala. Abasabye obutalowooza ku bintu bya bbeeyi omuli amamotoka n'amayumba n'abagamba musooke mukolera abantu ebyamotoka n'ag'ebbeeyi n'amayumba mubiveeko baganda bange musooke mukolere eri abantu. President Robert Kyagulanyi Ssentamu ayogedde bingi nnyo baganda bange ayogedde bingi nnyo n'abagamba abantu bagenda basongamu ennwe olw'endabika bagenda basongamu ennwe nga mugezi bamumadde batono naye musooke mukolere abantu byebimu ku ebyo munange ebibadde mu kitundu ekisoose ekyolusirika omulabi wa Ghetto TV tugenda maaso n'okuweereza nateera nayekkiriza nsooke nkome wano mpumulemu nateera amanya nze Buganda Ronald Mugenyi muzzukulu wa Nankere Bukerekere ombala Sirya Mamba naye nga amazzi nywa Ghetto TV tusimbudde.